There's some hops in there. Ha! Get in there, you buggers. Welcome to episode 3. If you haven't watched episode 2 and episode 1, I suggest you go and catch up on what was going on because we did some mashing and some setup back then. So this is the Braumeister versus the Grainfather coming into the boil off and the chill off actually. The chill off was probably more exciting than the boil off. Two different cooling systems. One of them worked a lot better than what I thought it was going to work. But hey, you'll find out. Let's drain it out there. We'll sparge that with 2.5 litres of 78 degree water as well, and then set it to boil. Meantime, battery's going flat. We might miss a little bit of the boil while I charge stuff. Now, both of these have been turned on to their boiling stage. This camera has decided to battery die, so we'll use the phone. So it might be a bit jumpy, but hey, bear with. So both of these have been set for boiling, and they've both been sparged with 2.5 litres of 78 degree water. So the Grainfather is still slowly dripping out. I think the Braumeister has finished draining. Braumeister down here on the control panel, it is ramping the temperature up for a 90-minute boil, and the pump is running. So while it's coming up to temperature, it's automatically turned on the pump to do some recirculation. Back over here for the Grainfather, it's not, it's just heating up. There's the end of the pipe. If I turn the pump on now, good job, it's a plastic thing there, the wort would come shooting out of there. So, as a safety precaution, there is a little cap. Cool. Looking forward to seeing what the final volume is. Once I stop hearing drips on this and I can remove the mash pipe, the same with this one, hopefully we should have exactly the same volume. If not, we've lost some somewhere. Alright, the malt pipe is out of the Braumeister, and looking at the level there, we are at 21 litres. So that was after a 2.5 litre sparge, and we had originally 23 litres in the vessel when we started off. Alright, the Grainfather's mash pipe is out and we're checking the volume, and there is the, oops, putting the camera at the right place, there is the 25 litre mark. So we are at 21 litres. Boom! We have the same volume in both, which is great. Okay, we just got to come to the boil now. So we are currently at 93 degrees here, and we are at, where are we? 93 degrees here. Now the Braumeister, we set it to 102 so that it overshoots boiling point and just sort of keeps it going. That was what the recommendation was. Otherwise it sort of keeps on tripping out between 100 and 99, but oh well. Touches life. Now we're doing a 90-minute boil on both. And some late hop additions. So at 40 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and 5 minutes. People have mentioned that these get a little bit blocked with hop additions. However, the Braumeister now no longer needs to pump anything, so it doesn't matter if the pump gets some hops in it. The Grainfather, on the other hand, look at the Grainfather. The Grainfather, on the other hand, does not have an outlet other than the pump. So you pump out the top. Could to be fun. Okay. Grainfather is coming up to a hop break already, whereas the Braumeister is not. So The Braumeister was faster at the mash with its temperature ramps, etc. The Grainfather is faster on the boil. Oh, it's getting high. Where's my spray bottle? Okay, we have a boil in the Braumeister. We also have a boil, quite a good boil, in the Grainfather. And our pre-boil gravity was 1059 for the Grainfather and 1054 for the Braumeister. Alrighty, the first hop addition, 25 grams of Cascade at 40 minutes from the end of the boil. Another Braumeister. There we go. And the remaining 25 grams in the Grainfather. Where are we at? Still around about 20 litres here. The Grainfather, however, is about 19 litres. It's got a much more vigorous boil, so there's a lot more evaporation that's coming off. Alrighty, battery's charged. It's getting hot and steamy in here, and the sun has come out finally. Another 25 grams of Cascade going into the Grainfather at the 30-minute mark. Yes, the 30-minute mark. Reset. And another 25 going into the Braumeister. Such an easy brew day. Oop, get some hops in there. Ha! Get in there, you buggers. Right, 2 more hop additions. There's another 25 grams in 10 minutes. Yep, and then 50 grams of Citra. A flame out. Sorry about the glow, the glare, people. But the sun is shining right into the brewery. Okay, I am putting in the immersion chiller. The immersion chiller for the Braumeister. Getting it heated up, getting it sanitized in there. Now, the counterflow chiller for the Grainfather, I have already sanitized. So I sanitized that last night. I hooked it up with the Grainfather with some boiling water in there and ran the boiling water through, and then a Oxitane, and then flushed it out. So it's all nice and clean and ready to go. Now normally with these things you hook them up to the pump and you pump the boiling wort through them for a good 5-10 minutes just to give them that extra little bit of sanitisation. But I thought I'd just make sure I sanitised it first. Right, now there is one more addition of hops to go, and then I've got to put the lid on this because the counterflow's got to sit on the top because the hose is short. It's putting a lid on here. Oh my god! Oh! Right, we are done, are we? Yes we are, our time is up. So let's just turn off that. What now? We're going to put in 500 grams of Citra. It's them in. Okay, and 500 grams of Citra into the Braumeister, which is going to be hopefully soon. It's just about finished. Cool. Awesome. Now, that means that while that one's still finishing its last bit of boil, I can put this up here and attach it to the pump. It seems so weird putting a lid on top of it. Ugh. Well, I would, by design, change this so that it was longer. Where's our water pipes? Red one obviously is going to be hot water coming out. That must mean that there's a blue one in here somewhere. Here it is. So this counterflow is going around there. Where's camera? Look at this mess of pipes. Okay, so there we go. We've got counterflow, we've got water coming out. And all I need to do is turn the pump on, and we should end up getting... Oh, I'll turn the tap on over here. There we go, we have recirculation. Now I'm just pumping this straight back into the kettle and cooling down the whole volume. Let me turn this on. You can see what our temperature drops to. 96. Let's see how efficient this little counterflow is. 95. 94. Cool. Alrighty, we'll let that do its thing while I connect these ones up. I just need to jimmy up a hose. Okay. Far out, I've got more pipes in the garden centre here. Okie dokie. I discovered that my nice little brass connections don't fit onto the stainless steel connections that come in the Braumeister, so I had to quickly change them over and get these tacky little plastic ones. Hoping my hose survives here. It's got hot wort coming through it. Whew, fun. Yeah, no, these are my good industrial hoses. They're not food grade. I don't use these for drinkable water, for potable water. But I use these in my brewery for cleaning and everything, and they're pretty damn good. And they can handle the heat coming out as well. But this hose, it's a bit on the dodge side. But anyway, we are chilling. See how long that takes? We are chilling over here. So we've got blue for going in and red for coming out. And the red coming out, the hot water coming out is pretty cold, so the counterflow efficiency is absolutely shit. See, because it's blocked. Right, interesting. Right, go again. There we go. We do have flow. Sweet. Okay, we must have just kicked up a little bit of hop residue, and that has blocked the pump, but just giving it a quick on off. Let's fix it. Oh, no, there we go. It's blocked again. Dodge. Oh, that's a bit of a pain in the ass. Give it a squeeze, and there it goes. Okay, the beer line coming back in is cold, so it is cooling it down. Possibly it would be better to run that directly into a vessel instead of recirculating it, but I just want to recirculate and cool the entire volume down, so we'll see how that works. Meanwhile, over here, don't know what the temperature is because I turned it off. Where's the thermometer? There's what you're there. Why does it always get hard when you're doing the coolie bit? 45, 46, 47, 48. Alrighty, the Braumeister has finished chilling the wort down to 30 degrees. The immersion chiller has done a great job. Excellent stuff. However, the Grainfather, not so good. I'm recirculating back into the vessel because the hoses are too short. These hoses are too short to actually get into a vessel. There's just no room on the bench space to do anything, so I'm just going to recirculate and cool the whole lot down. However, the pump keeps on getting blocked. Now, the amount of hops that went in there was 25, 50, 125 grams. So 125 grams of hops continually block this pump. And every time it blocks, I've got to turn the pump off and give it a squeeze to pump it back down to blow a bit out of the way so it can continue pumping. So that has really, really slowed down the efficiency of the cooling. That's, yeah, not a very good design. The Braumeister, on the other hand, the old-fashioned immersion chiller, it's in, it's done, it's finished. Easy peasy. No pumps to worry about. Still flowing. Alright, got a sanitised demijohn here, and I'm going to put, that's the 5 litre mark, 5 litres of the wort in here. Can you see that? Zoom down. Meanwhile, the Grainfather is still cooling down after many a pump stuckness. Yeah. Probably should have put hops in a hop bag, but oh well, that's not how I wanted to do it. Now I've taken a reading of this, and the reading is 1065, so bang on to my recipe. Absolutely spot on to what I wanted in my recipe, so I'm pretty happy with that. Got some aeration sort of going on there. If we can see this. I don't know whether we can see it or not. Oh, there we go. Can we see that? Okay, not the most adequate way of filling up a fermenter. Airborne shit sort of going everywhere possibly. But hey, it is getting a decent aeration. So left over in here, there's quite a bit of sludge in the bottom. I had to tip it up a little bit to get the most out of it. The level is at, what's that, 15, 16, 20? No, 15, about 17 litres. Right. This is the beer from the Grainfather coming in. So I managed to get the Braumeister out of the way so I could get my mash tun, which is going to be my temporary holding container because I need to pump from this into my fermenter. But first off, I'm going to get my 5 litres of fresh cooled wort from the Grainfather and put that aside, because these two demijohns, this demijohn and the other demijohn down there, are going to be my tasting samples. The remainder of the beer is all going into a conical, all mixed together for me. Right. Hard work. Alright, the Grainfather. Our markings down the side are really hard to see, but there's a finished level line there of where it was cooled at 17 litres, which is exactly the same as the Braumeister. How about that? So our volumes were spot on, they were identical. The Grainfather, however, had a finished post-boil gravity of 1070, so it was 5 points higher than the Braumeister. Alrighty, an overview of the two systems. They both do a great job. One was 5 points higher at the end. One of them was really, really easy to use. If I had my choice on what to buy, I'd buy a Braumeister. It was easy, it was elegant, it was simple, and it just did the job that it was meant to do. It was quiet, it just sat there and it just moved along and just did exactly what it was meant to be doing, mashing and boiling, making a beer. The mash pipe was a lot easier to pick up. The clarity wasn't as good. The Grainfather had a better clarity. And that sort of brought me on to the main reason that I wanted to do a comparison, was the Grainfather has recirculation of the wort on the top of the grain bed, pushing it through, whereas the Braumeister puts it from the bottom and pumps it up and over. So pumping up and over, you've got fluid grains. They're not compacting down, so they're all, you know, floating around. And I thought that would give a better efficiency because there was no chance of channeling or anything like that, like when you rinse on the top. But it affected the clarity. I'd seen a Braumeister running before. I actually had 6 Braumeisters lined up for a beer festival, and the wheat beer that was being brewed was absolutely crystal clear. So clarity may not be a factor all the time. It may just have something to do with the, how well my grains were crushed, and whether they were a little bit finer than, you know, there was a lot of particle that was floating around. That may have been the issue. Regardless, both machines had exactly the same grains, crushed in exactly the same machine from Baylor's Brewery. Excellent job, cheers Aidan for the grains. And the Grainfather came out clearer. It had a better clarity. Where the Grainfather fell over is in the pump and getting hops stuck. Now, as I said at the beginning of this series, this was an out-of-box brew. I wanted to get one of these things like I was buying it, take it out of the box and do a brew and have a seamless brew day. The Braumeister gave me a seamless brew day. Nothing broke, nothing leaked, nothing hiccuped. Whereas the Grainfather put hops in and they blocked the pump quite a lot, which slowed down the chilling. I couldn't cool the wort fast enough. So I eventually got it cooled down, but I had to keep on squeezing the pipe and turning off the pump, and that was a little bit frustrating. And then when I looked at it, I thought, oh, how am I going to get it all out? There's no tap at the bottom. Oh, yeah. If that pump had gone stuck, I would have been fucked. But, hey, keep on looking at my mash tun. That's where the Grainfather was sitting before I set it back. That's why I keep on looking there. Anyway, Braumeister is 3 times more expensive than the Grainfather, but it's engineered really well. It's the kind of equipment that would last a lifetime. It's sexy. Grainfather is new. It's fresh off the production line. It's been in development, and it had been in development for a couple of years. But it's got some versions, some iterations to go through before they perfect it. It's got some very, very cool features in it. The little feet for the mash pipe that can sit on the little shelf. It's great. It's a great idea. The pump outlet right at the top, so that you don't get any leakages or any spills, was a great idea as well. The panel on the control that keeps on flapping down so you can't splash water on accidentally and electrocute yourself. It's a good idea too. So it's got lots of really neat ideas. And you can put a hood on it. You can put a reflux hood on it and turn it into a still for distilling your own liquor, if you're allowed to do that in your own country. Otherwise, you could purify water in it quite well. So it is a very versatile bit of equipment, whereas the Braumeister is for brewing beer, where it goes. And it does a very, very good job of that. So using these bits of equipment was an eye-opener to me. It was fun. It was quite an enjoyable day. Apart from the amount of hoses I had to have at the end of the day to try and cool everything down. Right. There's only one thing left to do. Finish this little bit of beer and wait for those other 2 beers from the Braumeister and the Grainfather to carb up, clear up a little bit, and be ready for a taste test. So hopefully that'll be in my next video. But cheers, thanks for watching this series. I hope I've helped answer any of your questions about what you thought the Braumeister could do and what you thought the Grainfather could do. There was a lot of things to go over and I've possibly forgotten a lot of things. But hey, it was a fun brew day. And cheers once again to Dean from Cowrie Wines and Paul Payne for lending me his Grainfather. Cheers. Have yourself another one. I need another one. This glass is getting low. Cheers.